You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm Stephen Cabral, and I'm happy to have you back listening to the show. So really, thank you for tuning in. We're going to get started with a hopefully great Weight Loss Wednesday show. And what I want to do is I want to teach you today really 5 specific ways to stop those sugar cravings. But first, before we get into those, I want to let you know too that the human body and the human physiology and our need for sugar isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I want to get into that. But I also want to talk about this, that it is the excess craving, meaning like I just have to have some type of sugar, have to have some type of sweets. That's when it gets to be bad. That's when it's actually poor in terms of both body and mind, because what it does is it sets us up for all of these ups and downs in blood sugar, and that's not what we want. But I will tell you that kind of the craze that's going on right now, and it will stop, it will end, but the craze right now that's going on for like becoming totally fat adapted, that never having a single craving for carbohydrates is a little warped in terms of mentality, meaning that our tongue, our taste buds predominantly is wired for sweet. Like as humans, the predominant food source thousands of years ago would have been something that we can gather, that we can pick. Yes, we were hunter-gatherers and still are, in terms of our actual genes and genetic makeup. But the truth is that we were more gatherers than we were hunters. It was much easier to pick fruit, to pick vegetables, to grab any of those things around us than it would have been to actually kill something, especially something much larger than us that could actually kill us as well. So I've talked about that specifically before. You can have whatever philosophy you want, but I do want to make sure that it's balanced. And balance means this, that the total elimination of carbohydrates never makes any sense, because glucose or sugar or carbohydrates is still our human physiology, meaning our body, both body and mind. It's our preferred fuel source because it is the number one thing that our body uses to drive energy. So glucose is important. We just have to make sure that we stay balanced. The problem is that we become out of balance because, again, hundreds of years ago, at least a couple hundred years ago, there wouldn't have been this emphasis or even ability to get processed foods in the same way. Sure, there was bread, but there wasn't the amazing amount of processed food that we have right now. Literally at our disposal, we can go anywhere, right? We could go to a gas station. We can go to a drugstore. We can get anything. We can get a bag of chips, pretzels, candy, gum, beverages with sugar, which definitely would not have been the case unless you were drinking alcohol of some sort many hundred years ago. It's this really reliance on fast food that has got us into these deep sugar cravings. But our body wanting carbohydrates is not a bad thing. That is not a messed up signal at all. That's a normal thing. And that's because, as you're going to see it in a moment, carbohydrates actually help to produce greater amounts of dopamine, and they also produce larger amounts of serotonin, GABA, which helps cut cortisol. Our body receiving carbohydrates calms down the whole central nervous system, and namely the autonomic nervous system, which goes into fight or flight, rest and relaxation. Why? If your body's eating, especially if it's eating carbohydrates, it signals to the body there's no famine, there's nothing to worry about, everything is good, life is good. Remember, in the very beginning, like our animal DNA, back to like the limbic system of our body and limbic part of the brain. When we look at that, our bodies are meant to look for shelter, right? They're meant to look for food, and they're meant to look to carry on the civilization. So when you look at that, we need to make sure we get those needs met. And when I've talked about this before, you can look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I've talked about this on a previous podcast as well. Definitely recommend checking that out as well. You'll see that those are the very basis. Like we need that. We need that before we move on to any type of of creativity, any type of legacy, any type of work, any type of anything extra that we want in our life, make sure that our basic needs are met. So once those are met, then great. But now the problem is, right, it's actually easier to meet those needs, and it's less expensive to get those needs met than ever before. And that's why you can get a soda for less than the cost of a bottle of water, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? When you think about it, why is it less expensive to buy a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola than it is to buy a bottle of water? It's so strange. It really, really is. And at the same time, it's less expensive to purchase all of this food off of a dollar menu, which is all this processed food and gluten and the buns and all that extra stuff, a lot of it corn-based as well, than it is to actually eat a salad. It's so strange. It's such a strange society that we live in right now, but it's become our norm. The problem is it's not normal, and it's what's making us sick. And you have to understand that, because when you understand that it's the way that society is set up right now that is causing us to become sick, then you realize that you have to literally buck the trend. You need to go against what society is promoting right now, against the media, against the news, against all of these things to actually be healthy. And it is a warped sense of having to live your life, because then you become the outsider. But you're the outsider, but the truth is that you're the only one who's following a methodology that's going to keep you and your family healthy. And again, it's like that for everything, because everything, big business, all of that thing, they've infiltrated the media, they've infiltrated government, all of these things. And it's the truth. It's not me. It's just, this is based on profit. And it's more profitable when you're using things like corn and those types of things that are actually subsidized by the government, which means those type of big farms don't need to make any money on this, right? Because they're subsidized by the government. You can watch a documentary called King Corn, I believe it is. It was put out like a decade ago. I watched this many, many years ago. And it's disturbing, but it is what it is. And it's the world we live in. And so, you know what? You and I, we just have to take care of each other. We need to take care of our families. And that's what we have to look out for. That's the bottom line. But we can do that by patronizing small farms, organic farming. We can grow our own food if we have the ability to, and everyone does. We can just do it on our own little lot, and we'll be so much healthier because of that. Okay, so as always, I've got off on a little bit of a tangent, but hopefully it's set you up to understand now what can we do to, I would say, not only satisfy our sweet tooth so that we get our carbs naturally, but also how can we block these sugar cravings, because you shouldn't be craving sugar all day long. So let's start off with number one. The best way to do this is to avoid processed foods. Now, processed foods are easy to spot. They're literally brown or white in color for the most part. Again, when it's a sugar candy, they add dye to it, which is even more poisonous, even more toxic to your body. Literally a neurotoxin, leads to things like ADD, ADHD in kids, leads to all sorts of different digestive-based issues, a proliferation of candida, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, Crohn's, colitis, all sorts of issues where you start to feed these gut bugs their preferred fuel source rather than good carbohydrates, right? So we need to avoid all of these processed grain-like things. It's very, again, like literally if you grab a pretzel, you grab chips, and grab it like that, if you just put it in your hand and you would literally just rub it together, it would turn to dust, right? Anything that turns to dust essentially is a processed food. That means it's going to get into your system really quickly, spike your blood sugar levels, and then lead to additional sugar cravings just an hour, 2 hours down the road when you start to drop in blood sugar once again. So it brings you up in blood sugar and then drops you back down. Okay. Number two, you want to boost your serotonin and GABA levels and dopamine levels naturally. And you can do this through exercise as long as you're not exercising to excess, because then you're actually going to crave more food, more carbohydrates to deal with this onslaught of stress as well, created by, hardcore boot camps and these types of things. Really nice things that you can do too is just start your day off with just some nice, normal 5-minute, 10-minute, 20 minutes of meditation, relaxing your body. Check out my previous show on kind of how to get your morning right, how to start your day right, just by waking up just a little earlier, getting all of these things done so you're starting the day less stressed. Another one of my favorite things is just listening to low beta wave soundtracks or theta wave soundtracks. It's called binaural beats. I'll certainly be talking about them more in the future. I'm doing some really high-tech, state-of-the-art research on these things right now, and that's why I haven't given you any specific recommendations, but you know that I will, to help rewire the brain, to calm everything down, to produce more GABA. And again, coming from my background, this is something that I'm always trying to do to help repair that autonomic and central nervous system. So amazing things. And then, of course, eating the good complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes a little bit per meal. You can do also things like just overall good vegetables, right? That works for a lot of people. And you can, which was my next one, number 3, is satisfy your sweet tooth naturally. So that means you can eat fruit. Yes, totally normal. Fruit is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Do we eliminate it for our first 21 days for a lot of people on our body transformation and weight loss plan and the Dr. Cabral detox? Yes, if your goal is weight loss, but not no if your goal isn't weight loss. Meaning like the Dr. Cabral detox can be done for wellness, or it could be done for weight loss. And if it's to be done for weight loss, then we're assuming that your body is not doing the best job at basically becoming insulin sensitive, right? We want you to be able to use insulin in your bloodstream to pull sugar out of the bloodstream into the cells where it can be used. So what we do is we do a 21-day elimination of fruit. We're not saying it's bad, but what we're doing is we have to take where you're at right now in your life, right? Your phenotype, where you're at. We need to say, okay, we know that fruit's healthy for you. We have all those antioxidants, phytonutrients, anti-cancer compounds. We want you to eat it, but at the same time, we have to understand that your body might not be doing a great job with any type of fructose right now. So we're going to eliminate that. Then we're going to start to add in all those beneficial berries like blueberries, cherries, raspberries, all that great stuff. So again, we're going to be able to satisfy that. Let's first just eradicate those blood sugar levels. And again, we have unbelievable success stories, testimonials coming in all the time. We offer a free support group, the Facebook group online, which is just cabralsupportgroup.com. And you get to see that we're not asking for them, just people are showing their results. They're showing how, all of this works. And again, scientifically proven. We've been doing this for literally 20 years, close to it. And again, it started with the Fatlocity plan, and then the just kind of like the more high-tech version is the Dr. Cabral detox, for people who are ready to do it. All right, number 4 is drink plenty of water. I'm telling you, you'd be surprised, but a lot of the cravings we have is because we're feeling low in energy, and a lot of times we're low in energy because our bodies are dehydrated. So what we're saying is like, let's just get some sugar in, or let's get some caffeine in, but really what your body wants is it just needs hydration. And that's why I'm telling you, you start your morning with some lemon water. Literally, just get a room temperature water. You can drink it hot water. Just squeeze a half a lemon in there. It's so simple. If you want to take it to the next level, use the daily fruit and vegetable blend. That's what I do. And you're just super hydrated. You can even do sometimes I'll do half a teaspoon with lemon water first thing, and then I'll put another half a teaspoon so it gets the full serving in my shake an hour later. And again, I do that smoothie every morning with the daily nutritional support powder. You get everything you need, and then you're also getting 4 glasses of water before really 9 a.m. or within a couple hours of waking. That super hydrates the body. I'm telling you, when you start to do that, you don't need caffeine. You don't. I don't need coffee. I certainly don't have it on a daily basis. I enjoy coffee more so in the summer where maybe I'm going to Maine for the weekend or something like that, and I'm just in total relaxation mode. You know what? I want to go out and I want to get an iced coffee this morning, and I enjoy it. It's just part of a ritual. I love it. It just makes me feel good, but it doesn't have to do with the caffeine. I don't need it because before I went to get that iced coffee, I had my daily fruit and vegetable blend. I have my lemon water. I do my probiotic in the morning, and then I'm doing my smoothie as well. And so when I have the iced coffee, it's not because I need it, it's because I enjoy it. So it's totally different, right? Because you're super hydrating every one of the 40 trillion cells in your body with water. It's what your body needs, okay? All right. And again, one other thing I like to say is a lot of people hate drinking water. I'm going to be honest with you, just totally truthful. I don't like the taste of water. It's just water. Don't really love it. So what I'll often do is I will add ginger. I will add some lemon. I have fresh water throughout the day. So I'm not saying I never do that. And then when I'm out, I'll say okay, well, I want something fun when I'm out, if I'm out to dinner, whatever it might be. Most of the time, I'm not drinking alcohol for the vast majority of the time. I'll get into that in the future, all the things that does to your body, recovery and all of that. But anyway, I'll do what I always talk about, soda water. I'll do lime, and I will do a splash of cranberry. Anytime you want something other than water, that is an amazing drink, especially if you're using Pellegrino or more natural mineral water. It's fantastic. And I'm telling you, you will be able to drink that down, no problem at all. Just don't make it every drink of the day, right? But it could be a fun, enjoyable mid-afternoon drink for you. All right. Or when you're out to dinner, which is when I do it. So that's why I actually look forward to that, because I only do it when I'm out to dinner. All right. Next up is number 5. So our 5th way specific ways to curb those blood sugar cravings or curb those sugar cravings is keeping your blood sugar stable by eating 3 times per day minimum. So I know there's a lot of intermittent fasting, and I'm a huge believer. Probably no one's a bigger believer in intermittent fasting than me. I mean, really, I've been talking about the research for years. Well before I had podcasts, I wrote over 1,200 articles for Self magazine, for Condé Nast, for Men's Health, for Women's Health, for all sorts of different publications. And I was always talking about intermittent fasting. Now, I was talking about namely from 7 to 7 overnight, 8 to 8, just do that 12-hour overnight fast. But for most people, you're not in a relaxed enough state, enough like just total chill in the morning to not have breakfast. Again, if you're starting your day off with some form of stress, you should curb that stress with a nice balanced meal. Some protein, some fiber, get some veggies in there. You know what I do? I do the all-in-one powder, basically the daily nutritional support. I do my low glycemic berries. I might throw some spinach in there. I do a tablespoon of coconut oil. It's just called the Purple Crush. And again, it's a free smoothie guide. I give it away free. If you want to use some other powder, feel free. Feel free. I'm just giving you the absolute healthiest things I believe every human can do. Your body's not ready yet, unless you're in a relaxed state. And that's on the weekend. So on the weekend, I will have brunch. I'll still do my smoothie. I really will. I'll do that every single day because it's about hydration as well, and it's about getting all of my vitamins and nutrients into my body. So I'm not going to get that through a normal breakfast. You're just not. You're not. Do the research. Look it up. You're not going to. So again, if I'm more relaxed on the weekend, then I might do brunch as well. And that's enjoyable too. But for the most part, eating like heavy breakfast, sausages, eggs, bacon, all those things, you're not in a relaxed enough state to be able to break that down well enough. Most people aren't drinking enough fluid. They're not able to properly assimilate that as well. It would actually be better to do that for lunch than it would be for breakfast because your digestion is just going to be stronger at lunch. So if you really love that, then do it for lunch, not for breakfast. Easier to digest foods for breakfast. Easier way into the day. Wake your body up with some detoxifying foods as well, which would be fruit and veggies and high water content foods, right? You were just dehydrated for the whole night. You were dehydrated for the last 10 hours that you haven't drank anything before you have breakfast. So just keep that in mind. Just a couple tips to think about. Okay, and one bonus tip before we wrap things up. If needed, use nutritional supplements to help balance healthy blood sugar levels as you're getting your sugar levels more stable. So we like a product called Support Glucose or Glucose Support. I'll link it up in the show notes. Just go to stephencabral.com/376 today. Okay, so 376, or you can just go to stephencabral.com/podcasts and you'll be able to find that as well. So it's not our product, but again, we are big believers in bringing you the best of everything. So this is a functional medicine product, and I will link that up right in the show notes. What it does, you take it before meals, typically about 2 caps. And what it will do is it contains things like Ayurvedic herbs as well as chromium. And that will help you to better stabilize blood sugar levels so that temporarily, at least for about 12 weeks, you can use this product. And that should help you to then better stabilize your blood sugar so that it makes the transition easier. It allows you then to eat less processed carbs. It allows you to get less of that, what we call hangriness, right? So you get hungry and angry, irritable. It prevents less of that and a more even, stable blood sugar level. So again, 2 caps, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Really, really simple.
Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways?
Feeling good,
over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish, and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentors after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science.
Drink plenty of water.
Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/ StopSugarCravings.com
10 glasses of water per day on average,
Rain Barrel.
and you'll have about what you need for water. Sometimes more if you're sweating a lot, sometimes less if you have really low blood sugar, and then it just means you need a little sodium. And the last one is eat some protein, eat some fiber at each meal, some good fat. Just keep again, let's be normal, all right? Let's have some protein, some veggies, and that includes all carbohydrates, and some healthy fat at each meal. Totally normal, right? Let's just eat like normal human beings were meant to. And then if needed, you can use a little bit of functional medicine, glucose support, which again is just herbs and vitamins and minerals to keep your body stable. So hopefully today's episode was helpful. Feel free to pass along to anyone you know who has these sugar cravings, and I know this is going to help them kick those cravings as well. Take care, everyone. Looking forward to speaking with you again tomorrow.
Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to StephenCabral.com/resources.